Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for some pre-modern action. Today we are getting very spicy indeed. We are playing a deck that is known as FALKOR'S Trap House, and this is my own version of it. So the reason it's called that is because of Cognivore. This card looks a lot like Falkor from the Neverending Story, so that's why the deck is called FALKOR'S Trap House. The aim of the game is to use Cognivore. It's a flying creature with power and toughness equal to the number of instant cards in all graveyards. And we're going to cheat this into play using everyone's favourite Oath of Druids. So if our opponent's got a creature, then we just flip cards until we find the Cognivore, and all the cards we flip are going to be instants or lands, which is going to power out a really large Cognivore, and hopefully it's going to grab some Dragon Breath and have haste, and possibly Dragon Fangs to give it trample as well. The reason we need to give it trample is because we have a way of triggering Oath of Druids. We have Funeral Pyre. This is a 1 mana instant. Exile target card from a graveyard. Its owner creates a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. So we exile one of our opponent's cards, we give them a 1/1 spirit, and then all of a sudden our Oath of Druids triggers, we smash them with a big Cognivore, and that's the end of the game. Normally these decks are all sorts of colours. I haven't seen a Bant version like this before, and I thought I would try it out. A key card in this deck is going to be Lat-Nam's Legacy. This allows us to shuffle pieces we don't want in our hand. So that's Dragon Breath, Dragon Fangs, and the Cognivores. We can shuffle them in. The rest of the deck is basically just a really strong blue-white shell that's pulling a little bit from like Growertog in some of the tools it has. So we've got ourselves Counterspells, and we've got Gushes, so we're playing 8 islands, and we're using Mox Diamond so that we can play a turn 1 Oath of Druids, if that's the thing we want to be able to do. And we've got a couple of free Counterspells in these foils, and we've got a Mana Link to round out our Counterspell suite. We've got card advantage in the form of Accumulated Knowledge and the Gush we've already mentioned. Opt is another way to try and dig for what we're looking for, as well as being able to put another instant in our graveyard. We get to play the best removal spell ever printed in Source to Plowshares. And we have a 1 of Intuition, which is just our 5th copy of Oath of Druids, but sometimes can be other things and make the Cognivore bigger, and all sorts of that sort of jazz. Like we can go and get the 3 Accumulated Knowledges. That's always a fun one. But that's pretty much what we're playing today. I'm not 100% solved on this mana base. We've basically taken the sort of Growertog mana base, but then just added a couple more lands because I'm a coward. We are playing 61 cards today. Because we have a couple of cards that we want in our deck that we don't really want to draw, I think 61 is actually fine here. But we'll see how it pans out. I have tested this 0 number of times, and I'm excited to see how it fares. Oh, we've also got a Disenchant in the main deck as well. Sideboard-wise, we've got 2 more Funeral Pyres for when our opponent isn't going to be playing creatures. We want more of these effects. We've got generically good stuff like Annul, Hydroblast, Disenchant, Naturalize, so you can mix up the effects in case of Meddling Mage becomes a problem. Then we've got some more removal in Wing Shards and Reprisal. You'll notice lots of instants here. We've got Dominate, so another way of dealing with creatures. So we can just steal this. This is another win condition. We are very much all in on the Cognivore. And then we've got 3 Orim's Charm. Because we're in the white, we get to play this, which can just, in our upkeep, we can fire this off in response to the Oath of Druids trigger, and then they won't get a chance to interact with our Cognivore if this resolves. And this can also help us resolve things like Oath of Druids or Funeral Pyre if that's where we need to be. So it's a pretty wild one today. I'm not sure how this deck is going to fare at all. All builds of the FALKOR'S Trap House are, generally speaking, pretty niche fun decks rather than really competitive decks. But we've played a bunch of good cards around it here to make it work. Oh, I also forgot to mention we have a Krosan Reclamation, so that we can shuffle in our Cognivores if they get dealt with somehow, so we can go again. Yeah, that's what we're playing today. It's going to be a spicy one, so lock in, like, subscribe, and let's just get stuck in with this one. The new year is here, and what better time to clear out your unwanted cards than now? My lovely sponsors 3for1 Trading are buying all Magic cards and collections of any size. They will quickly appraise your collection and give you a fast, non-binding ballpark figure so you know what you're working with right away. They buy collections from anywhere in the world. You can ship them cards, arrange a courier, and they even make in-person visits for large collections to offer full peace of mind. Click the link in the description or visit 3for1.gg/sell-COW to start unloading your unwanted cards today. This isn't a great start for us because we don't want the Cognivore in our hand. I think I'm just going to mulligan this one. Like, we could Lat-Nam's Legacy it back, but what if we get discarded stuff? This is fine. We can keep this, bin off a City of Brass probably. Then we have 2 islands and a Rainbow Source in the Mox Diamond. We can hold up Counterspell as early as turn 1. That's not a bad place to be. If there's Mox Diamond, pitch the City of Brass, then we just play an island. So we're holding up Accumulated Knowledge / Counterspell. We just want to be drawing some cards for a bit, getting our components together to then oath our enemy here and put them in the dirt. An island from our opponent. Are they going to be the sort of deck that gives us creatures? Portent. So this could be a Dreadnought deck. That's the most likely thing for it to be from the Island Portent start. Let's fire off this first AK. Hopefully they're not on an AK build, and then we're just feeding their AKs, because that can get really annoying. An island. Not the most exciting. They're trying to draw a card from their portent. And then Oath of Druids, you say. I'm okay to get this one down, I think. While our opponent's more or less tapped out. They are a Dreadnought deck, and they put a Dreadnought into play. They might just be like, oh, I can beat a Terravor, or something like that. But it's not going to be a Terravor. Hopefully we don't need to counterspell a spell this turn. And we don't. So now we're in the Funeral Pyre waiting room. I will play out this land that allows us to get a plains if we need that. And we're just going to pass and just keep this moving on for a little while. If our opponent is doing Dreadnought stuff, they might... Okay, so they get to cash in on our accumulated knowledge. I hate that for us. I don't think I'm going to counterspell this because they're going to discard some cards this turn, most likely. Okay, so they just cast accumulated knowledge to discard 2 cards. Okay. This became a filter spell instead of a draw spell. Maybe we can draw one now. Wrath of God. Okay, a foil is not bad for us to have. I will keep this island in hand in case we need to pitch cast it. Although we're unlikely to pitch cast it, aren't we? Do I play this land out so that we can hard cast foil around days? I think so. Talk myself into it. We're making land drops and our opponent isn't. They're probably looking at being some kind of blue-white tide still list. A portent. You go ahead. I could try and counterspell this and try and mana screw our opponent, but there's not that many spells that are relevant. And I just want to make sure that we can convert these to stop relevant spells and just get the Cognivore doing its thing. Another Mox Diamond, not very useful right now. This is why we have Lat-Nam's Legacies in our deck, because we need the early Mox Diamonds and also secures our mana base, but then this can just be shuffled in. Alright, they found white mana. Seal of Cleansing. I don't want them to have a Seal of Cleansing. I think we use the more expensive answer here. I don't want them having that in play. Krosan Reclamation. Huh. Sure exactly what we're going to be doing with this Reclamation. We could put back in an accumulated knowledge if we want to, or we could just hold this for later. Because Lat-Nam's Legacy is like a bad brainstorm, it gives us some interesting tools that we can use. I think we're just going to hold for a bit longer. This isn't like Guy's Blessing. We don't get to draw a card after we've shuffled stuff back in. We do need to... Another Seal of Cleansing. Okay, I think we let this one go. We need to keep our counterspell for things like Tide. That's where we really need to fight. An Opt. I could opt now. I think that's reasonable. An Intuition, you say? Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm going to deploy this Mox Diamond, pitching this City of Brass. And then we get to Intuition for accumulated knowledge and draw many cards. That's probably the best way of getting through this one. It will stack up our graveyard so our opponent's accumulated knowledge has become very good. We can Krosan Reclamation them back in afterwards. A Parallax Tide. I'm going to say no to Parallax Tide. And then the end step, I think we're going to get ourselves our basic plains. I forgot to change the lands. That's the one thing I've made a mistake with here. Whoopsie. We'll choose target opponent. Where are my accumulated knowledges? So they have to give us an accumulated knowledge, which means we get to untap and draw 4 cards off of this one. We might just be in hard casting Cognivore time soon. Do I want this Mox Diamond more than an Undiscovered Paradise? Sure. We've got some counter magic. We probably have to counterspell an opposing accumulated knowledge, although it's just going to be a filter, so it's not actually going to give them more cards. It's just going to give them better quality cards. So far the Cognivore is a 10-10. We do need to find one of these Funeral Pyres, not Funeral Charms, that's a very different card. This gets us... So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we do have enough to just play the Cognivore, which is kind of funny. But I don't really want to go shields down on all of this counter magic. If we just get stung by a... Oh, is this going to be the AK? No. If we get stung by a Parallax Tide, we can lose this game still. Although we have 3 mana sources that the Tide doesn't touch. This is why I've been playing these out instead of the lands. Decree of Justice, you say. Are you going to make a guy? Or is this just a card draw? Yep, they just want to cycle it. Sure. I'm holding this Krosan Reclamation for a bunch of reasons. We can weaken the amount of accumulated knowledges. We can put a Cognivore back in if it gets countered. Where is my Funeral Pyre? This would be much easier if our opponent was a creature deck. But we have 2 Funeral Pyres in our deck, and we are nearly halfway through. So statistically, we should be getting towards that. They can just decree for a relatively large number and then seal away the Oath. And then that would require us to find another Oath of Druids, which is a reasonable thing to do. We could just chuck a couple of AKs back in our deck at some point, and we can flash this back when the time comes. We're probably going to have to get through a Source to Plowshares on our big go turn. There's definitely going to be a matchup where Orange Chant's going to look good. Are we just staring at one another? Looks like we're staring at one another. Another land. I think I'd rather have a Mox Diamond for the reasons we mentioned earlier. This allows us to play around a tide that resolves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we can play this, but not have a counterspell to back it up. At this stage of the game, our opponent probably has multiple swords to Plowshares kicking around. If they miss land drops and we don't, that probably ends up going well for us. 3 mana, 4 mana. It's going to be another tide, is it? We cast a foil, given the chance. Okay, foil. They're going to fight over this. I'm going to fight over this. And I will counterspell this. We might just play the Cognivore here. Although, they're just going to source the Plowshares, is the problem. Another Oath of Druids. I'm happy to get that one down. The Mox Diamonds allow us to cast the Dragon Breath and Dragon's Fangs. So we might end up in a situation where we just cast our Cognivore and hasting it in one turn and going ham with it. Weird game so far. Another Oath of Druids. I don't think we need to play out another one though. This just means the Seal of Cleansing doesn't matter. So they can't beat the Funeral Pyre that much. They're probably just going to plow their own little Funeral Pyre token. We might be on the hardcast Cognivore plan. We're going to cycle that decree. Cunning Wish. Sure. What are they going to wish for? A Stifle. Okay. That's just more redundancy for resolving tides, but we have 4 mana sources that don't care about tide, and we have a fetch land. So I don't really mind this that much. They could stifle the fetch land, I guess. We need to draw. What do we want to draw? We could Krosan Reclamation in one of these accumulated, or a couple of accumulated knowledges, just so they're in our deck. I think that might be the play here. It will shrink our Cognivore in hand. They can stifle one Oath trigger and blow the other one up if they're planning on playing a creature. What they're really looking for is like Mishra's Factory style cards. You just start getting the bits in while nothing's really happening. We are continuing to stare at one another. A Gush. I like the Gush. Let's Gush. I like having a counterspell. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mana. So we can play this and hold up the counterspell. This is just going to get Swords to Plowshared. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we've got 10 mana, so we get to play this and hold up counterspell. We can't hold up counterspell and Krosan Reclamation. I think we just pass an Impulse. Don't care about that. Their instants are just going to fuel our Cognivore. Humility is a card they could have, which could be slightly problematic. We're cracking the Flooded Strand over there. And just passing. A City of Brass, not the one we require. Let's just pass it over. 4 mana. A Parallax Tide. Am I even fighting this at this point? Now they can blow up all of our lands and we're still left with all these Mox Diamonds. We don't really need more mana. I think we're just going to try and counterspell this tide. They're probably going to fight over it, which is going to exhaust some counterspells for later. Yep, there goes that counterspell. Casting this Cognivore is probably not going to happen anymore. So they've got different ways they can do this. They're just going to stack it all up and probably exile it to the seal. Yep, so they're doing it to untap one of their lands this way. Sure, you go ahead. So far, 63% of challenges have been won by Parallax type decks since the format came to Magic Online. Make of that what you will. Alright, we're going to Krosan Reclamation now. Let's shuffle in a couple of Ancestral Knowledges. A Counterspell. I guess I can play out some more lands. I don't think that Parallax Tide actually mattered as much as I thought, but we basically traded our Counterspell for their Counterspell more than anything else. If they cast an Accumulated Knowledge, we can put 2 AKs back into our deck. It does leave us a little bit sketchy with this Cognivore, but we can worry about that later. We've seen 1 Swords to Plowshares so far. They discarded that early on. I think given the chance, they would probably discard some more Swords to Plowshares. We need to be careful with our clock, because this could be a long one where our opponent times out. So I'm going to be trying to pass priority a little bit quicker. We've got half a minute up on our opponent. They seem to be playing a little bit slow. Maybe we can take advantage of that. Alright, we're just staring at one another yet again. Carry on, opponent. We will deck first, but we have the Krosan Reclamation. Just plan another land. It's as if the Parallax Tide never happened. We can just hardcast a Cognivore. All that's going to do is gain us a bunch of life. Mishra's Factory. Our opponent finally found a win condition. I'm going to crack this Flooded Strand, see if our opponent wants to stifle it. Thin this deck a little bit. Lat-Nam's Legacy. That's a pretty good one. I think I'm going to play this City of Brass out. Can we activate the factory? You go ahead. I'm going to plow the factory. Opponent's deployed a Morphling. Alright, let's try and counterspell this. Because they can do some pretty sketchy things with the Morphling, right? Maybe we're supposed to let them have that, I don't know. Let's Lat-Nam's Legacy. And draw a bunch of cards. A disenchant. That answers the next Mishra's Factory, and then we've got another Lat-Nam's Legacy if we want it. I don't think we need this Treva's Ruins in. Lat-Nam's Legacy again. Let's chuck this Oath of Druids back in, I think. A Dragon Fangs. And we have the Funeral Pyre now. Okay. Interesting. Let's play this Treva's Ruins. Bounce this island. Play this Oath of Druids. Just to make sure. Our opponent's definitely going to have a lot of resources to mess us up here. I assume they're going to get in with a factory. We're going to... Ooh, blue and a white. An impulse. Go ahead. So we can Funeral Pyre at end step, or we could try and wait till we draw more counter magic. Portent targeting us. Okay. Intriguing. I was really tempted to put just like one Brain Freeze in our deck as an alternate win condition for matchups like this. Or am I going to take out our opponent's graveyard here? Does it matter is the question. I don't think it does. I will take out a Morphling so we can keep the mana, the instants to make our creature bigger. So now we have... Okay, they're just going to plow their own guy. Sure. 3 mana. Cunning Wish. Go ahead. They've got a Stifle hanging out in their hand still. Now they've got a Brain Freeze. Ugh. They're going to storm us out, are they? 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18. So we're going to get pretty low on the old library there. Yeah, our opponent's just more kitted out for this. We have a Krosan Reclamation, so we're not dead. There's a Cognivore. So we're going to take our draw for turn in case we hit a Counterspell. And then we're going to fire in with our Krosan Reclamation. So they're definitely not going to deck first here. An Accumulated Knowledge. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Let's cast this with Flashback. What we're going to put in there. Cognivore. Is there 2 Cognivores or 1 Cognivore? Both Cognivores are in there. Counterspell off of these 2 lands will just win the game for them on the spot. Okay, that worked, eh? Let's deploy this. And then we're just trying to hard cast hasty Cognivores. They've got through 2 Swords to Plowshares. I don't know how many counter spells they have. We don't really have a choice because our library is awfully thin. Cognivore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I would like to Cognivore, please. It's a 33-33 with haste. It's going to get plowed. We're up to 50 life. And then next turn, we are going to do the same thing. Well, provided we draw it. Definitely a tough matchup for us. We drew a Cognivore. Let's see if it works this time. Here comes FALKOR. Counterspell or Swords to Plowshares is good here. Dragon Breath. It's another plow. And that's the end of that chapter. Tricky one. Very much not the sort of matchup we want to be playing against. What would I like to help this one out? I would like some Orange Chants and some Funeral Pyres. Dominate can steal a Mishra's Factory. That may sound pretty fringe, but that's the level we're operating at here. Ray of Revelation, Disenchant, these are all fine. I don't believe this is going to be a matchup where we want these Swords to Plowshares, so they come right out. They could board into creatures, but that seems like a massive spew for our opponent. The Mox Diamonds probably get worse post-board, although they are a deck that's going to be messing with our lands here. Maybe we don't want the Intuition this time around. How are we going to fit all of these cards in? Alright, it's going to be very difficult to fit everything in here. Maybe we board out a couple of Ancestral Knowledge and try and use our opponent's Ancestral Knowledge a little bit more. I don't need this Disenchant. Oh no, we're a 61 card deck. That's why it works out. Okay, cool. Looks like our opponent has left the game. I don't know if they're coming back or not. Looks like they're back. Cool. I don't really want this Cognivore in my opening hand. I do want this Orange Chant. Alright, we're just going to let Lat-Nam's Legacy do its job. Play this. Pitch this City of Brass. Play this. I think I'm just going to Lat-Nam's Legacy straight away. This isn't the matchup where we need to counter something on turn 1 for the most part. We don't want them stifling this, right? So, a foil. Not the most useful given our current hand, but we're not going to need to leverage this for a while, I would imagine. Yep, you can Portent. We also have the backup mode of we cast the Funeral Pyre on ourselves and just use it as a 1/1 flyer to beat down with. Suntail Hawk mode. Ray of Revelation, not unhappy to see that one. We might be Lat-Nam's Legacying this foil back. Or do they miss on land? That means their hand is stacked with permission. Please don't stifle my Lat-Nam's Legacy trigger. Well, they stifled it. Sucks to be us. Kept to 1 lander with a Portent. I think that's reasonable. Are we just going to make a guy and start getting in? I think we are. We've got a second Funeral Pyre anyway. Let's get rid of the City of Brass. Just make a 1/1 flyer. Boom. Suntail Hawk you right out. If they used any real cards on this, they're okay with me. Why, just plowing it straight away. They are fearful. A disenchant. That could be useful. The fact that our opponent has this brain freeze angle is really scary. But if they miss land drops, we might be able to overpower them with our orange chant if we can get there. I'll play a land out. Right, they're going to clean up. Parallax Tide. Fair enough. They probably have an annul here. Do I care if they answer the first one of these? I don't think so. Right, we're just through, are we? Get rid of this Parallax Tide from their graveyard. You can have a 1-1. Would you like to plow this or not? They would. Sure. 2 more Funeral Pyres in our deck. A Plains. I'll keep that one and we'll pass. A Wasteland. Please Wasteland me and take yourself off of your second mana source, please. I would love that. A second Disenchant. So we can answer Seals, we can answer Mishra's Factories. And Impulses. Probably going to be looking for a land for our opponent. We've got through half of their Swords to Plowshares. No play from our opponent, just back to us. I will hold this land actually, because we can use this into a Mox Diamond later on, which gives us something that doesn't die to Wasteland and Parallax Tide. Yes, you cast the first Accumulated Knowledge. I've boarded out some so that the ones I draw are better, so I never have to cast the first one. I will play on Island though, and we'll pass. Going to be a long, grindy one here. They're just going to go for the Brain Freeze immediately here. It's a possibility. I think going for the combo when we did made sense because our opponent had to interact with just the one land they had. Whereas if we waited, then they maybe get to cast more spells in turn. Okay, Chain of Vapor goes back to my hand. I will not sacrifice a land. Meddling Mage. Sure. We did board out our Swords to Plowshares, so this does become a little bit awkward. And a Null. Not the one we wanted. Another Wasteland. We're definitely not playing out the City of Brass. Oh, an Accumulated Knowledge though. Okay, maybe I will play out the City of Brass now. How do we beat this Meddling Mage? Yes, you can accumulate a knowledge, and then I will accumulate even more knowledge. And then something good will happen to us, maybe, if we're lucky. I think we're just going to be toasted. Like, they do the blue-white control side of this matchup way better than we do. We're like a blue-white control deck with this combo Oath plan. Well, I would like some cards here, because the ones we have in our hand aren't really getting us anywhere. This is probably worth a counterspell if our opponent has one, and they do. Makes the next accumulated knowledge for them even better. Cognivore 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A little bit shy of where we need to be. Mishra's Factory. Well, we can start answering that. A Dragon Breath. I will discard this. This is where we want it anyway. Mishra's Factory. Our plan involves the Orim's Chant and hard casting a Cognivore, which might prove difficult if we're getting our lands taken away. So white mana for a factory. Disenchant this factory. Keep our life total high. Also means we won't have to go to discard next turn. A Funeral Pyre. Are we going to just beat down with a Funeral Pyre? Is that the sad state of affairs we're in? Could be. Not having any plows as Meddling Mage is a problem. We knew they were bringing this in. It was just a mistake on our part. Let's get rid of a Flooded Strand and give ourselves a nice little 1-1 to beat down with. We're certainly not winning this race, but that's okay. Maybe we get in a situation where we double block with our Funeral Pyres here. But then we've gone through all of the Funeral Pyres on our decks. We're going to have to find the Reclamation to put them back in. We can use this Orim's Chant to mess up their clock. I'd rather use it to try and win the game, but we need more lands for that first. There's a factory. Let's try and blow it up. Opponent's got so many cards over there. We might just hold this Funeral Pyre and try and use it to double block this Meddling Mage, because then we can get them to fight over this Oath of Druids. It doesn't actually matter that much, because we're not going to have a Funeral Pyre for ages until we find our one of Krosan Reclamation. I think we're in a lot of trouble. Well, we found the Krosan Reclamation, which certainly changes things a little bit. I'm just going to hold this back to block. Try and Funeral Pyre, and then we can Krosan Reclamation 2 Funeral Pyres back into our deck. What a weird game. Funeral Pyre, get rid of a City of Brass from our graveyard. We also haven't drawn any counter magic. Kill one of our guys here. They obviously get a blowout with the Swords to Plowshares here. Right, the damage is going through. They're just going to play another one, aren't they? I think if they have one, maybe they play it first on the Swords to Plowshares. 4 mana, Parallax Tide. Do I Orim's Chant this first? I think I Orim's Chant first to make sure that they can't counterspell this. Just annul the Parallax Tide. A Dominate. Huh. Interesting. We did have our other win condition. Am I just going to get this one in now? Or are we just going to steal their Mishra's Factory? I quite like stealing their Mishra's Factory. I don't think they've boarded in their Exalted Angel because that seems really bad into Oath, whereas the Meddling Mage just comes down and names Oath, and that seems a-okay. Activate the Factory, sure. I'm going to attack with that factory. Can I have your Mishra's factory, please, opponent? After you've burned 2 wastelands as well. We can Reclamation a couple of Funeral Pyres back. Mana leak. You got it. We can't pay. Maybe we shouldn't have counted the Morphling in game 1. I'm still thinking about that. I think the problem was our opponent just had everything covered, which is what the deck's supposed to do, isn't it? Alright, I would like these 2 Funeral Pyres back in my deck, please. Right, they're in. Okay, we're going to go for an Oath of Druids here. We can pass holding up this Annul. We've also got this Rare Revelation. We are just dying to this Mishra's Factory. That's the main problem we're facing right now. We also haven't drawn any card advantage, and our opponent has. I guess we drew the Accumulated Knowledge, but our opponent already had Accumulated Knowledge twice, so they had a bunch of extra cards to deal with our plays here. It was a bit awkward. Flooded Strand. Cracking this is significant. I don't really want to crack it, so we're going to hold it in our hand, pitch to a potential Mox Diamond. Accumulated Knowledge. Can I just let my opponent gas up that many cards? I don't think we win if they draw that many cards. Okay, let's target their Accumulated Knowledges. Actually, let's target ourselves, because we've got an Accumulated Knowledge in here. Let's put this in and a Funeral Pyre. This means their Accumulated Knowledge will draw them fewer cards. And we have more Funeral Pyres to try and make something happen. 4 mana. Here comes the Parallax thingy. I don't think they wanted to tap the factory. Can we annul this? Probably not. Here comes the Mana Leak. Sure, we could have paid for this if we played out a Flooded Strand. We could have played this out anyway, but I think it is better to hold it for the Mox Diamond. Goodbye to our lands. They're going to stack this all up. And they're probably going to bounce... Oh, they've passed it over. Interesting. Let's try and blow this up. We get our lands back. Nope, we don't get our lands back. Understood. Not really a shocker. What is our best play? Are we playing around counter magic or removal spells? Probably counter magic. But no, we can't give them a guy right now, can we? Because then they just kill us. Well, well, well. Here comes the factory. We've got one little prayer. Pray to the Funeral Pyre. We'll get our opponent's sorcery. Is fine. Boo! I think we are pretty much dead here. We could draw something that's not that. GG's opponent. We don't get there. Yeah, their deck is just way better kitted out for this sort of grind. We could definitely improve things by having access to an alternate win condition like Brain Freeze. That might be quite useful here. Alright, on to round number 2. Welcome to round 2. We're on the play. We've got an Opt and a Lat-Nam's Legacy. We've got some good possibility to dig. We've also got some nice mana underneath us. I think we're going to keep this one. Again, we don't know if this is going to be one where we just want to race to Oath, or if we're going to play like this weird sort of control game where we answer our opponent's things and then try and combo off. This Flooded Strand is definitely going to get us an island, because we need islands for our Gushes. So we can just start off on an island and we can opt. I guess we could just leave the Flooded Strand, because we can do either of these at instant speed. And then we can decide if this needs to be an island or if we need to source to Plowshares something on turn 1. It's unlikely we do need to plow on turn 1. But we can keep that available by just not cracking this. Gemstone Mine. Careful study. So we are doing something where the source of Plowshares is going to be very strong. Good to know. This is likely Reanimator. Merchant Scroll. Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay, we're not on Reanimator then. We're probably on High Tide. Not High Tide, because High Tide's not legal, but Mono Blue Brain Freeze combo would be my guess. So I'd like to find some counter magic if possible. The second island is interesting, but I don't think we're in the market for that yet. A Gush. A Mox Diamond. I will play this Mox Diamond. I will bin off this City of Brass. Then I will deploy this City of Brass. I don't think our opponent's able to go off next turn. So hopefully we can get like a nice Lat-Nam's Legacy turn. The things our opponent's showing us. Merchant Scroll. Lion's Eye Diamond. Careful Study. These aren't creature-focused cards. I'm going to Lat-Nam's Legacy away this Swords to Plowshares, I think. Big fan of getting this Counterspell going. And another Counterspell. I will just play out my Treva's Ruins and bounce this City of Brass, I think. Then we can just hold up Counterspell. Our opponent's definitely going to be doing something in the combo ballpark. Intuition, is this? It is an Intuition. I don't particularly want them to have an Intuition. We might be able to blow them out if they have a graveyard line and we can Funeral Pyre it. Right, nothing for our opponent. That's good news for us. We might be hard casting a Gush in a couple of turns. Shivan Reef, they found another mana source. Burning Wish. I think we allow them to wish. We see what they're wishing for, then maybe we get a better idea what their deck actually does, and then we can point this Counterspell more appropriately. Intuition I didn't want to resolve because, okay, so they can make something uncounterable. That's pretty good and annoying for us. I'll play his Plains out. So they have one spell they really want to resolve. Wonder what that is. We're not worried about any sort of reanimator stuff if they are that and we've just got it horribly wrong. Gemstone Mine. White mana. No. Red mana. So this is going to be the Overmaster's turn. Another Burning Wish. Okay. I would like to Gush this turn. A gamble. I really don't know what our opponent's up to. I will be hard casting a Gush. You don't do that very often, but here we are. Maybe we have too many lands in our deck. Alright, bunch more counterspells. Would love to find an island. An Oath of Druids. I will take this Oath of Druids. Green and white mana. We have blue here, and then we can... Or do you just want to hold up 2 counterspells? No, I think we're just going to try and win the game next turn. Actually, we can hold up another counterspell. We've got this land. So we can go Mana Leak plus Counterspell. So we can Counterspell the Overmaster. But if they gamble, they could end up discarding the Overmaster. Alright, we get to enter the Trap House, I guess. Let's take out this Lion's Eye Diamond. There are definitely some weird decks that can recur this, like Iggy Pop style things. Funeral Pyre. Let's see if we actually get to do the thing. The whole thing our deck is built around, we haven't really done yet. It's a 22 power guy that's got trample. So it's now a 23 power guy. We didn't actually draw the dragon thing to give it trample, to give it haste this turn. I will play this land. Oh, why did I play that land out? That's so foolish. That was our foil. I guess we can't do foil and mana leak and counterspell. So it's not really that foolish. What do you want to do here, opponent? Is it die to my massive trampler? At least the trample thing is coming in clutch here because they've got this 1-1 that we're going to beat through. Obviously, we gave them the 1-1, and that's the reason we put this Dragon Fangs in our deck. A Lion's Eye Diamond. You got it. This is the turn you have to make something happen. A gamble. You go ahead. We're going to let them use a bunch of their mana so that our mana leak is more viable as a counterspell here. Although we're more likely to just use foil plus counterspell. This gamble probably has to hit perfect for them. It's a shame we couldn't give this haste as well as trample. There's a lot of accumulated knowledges in our bin here, right? 1, 2, 3. 3 accumulated knowledge. So we have like a draw 4 somewhere in our deck that we could hit. And there's only 17 cards left in our deck. A Frantic Search. Okay. Brain Freeze can get us a little bit more easily than I would like. But we have Krosan Reclamation, so we're not just stone cold dead to that. They discarded Sapling Burst and City of Brass. Sapling Burst. What are they doing with a Sapling Burst over there? Replenish? Is this some sort of weird... I have no idea what our opponent's deck does. Which is exciting. We've got a Burning Wish here. What is the sorcery that they get that we're actually worried about? We have 2 counterspells. How is this going to go wrong? We can't be milled out with Brain Freeze. Hunting Pack doesn't get us unless they can give it haste with something like Concordant Crossroads. Oh, a Careful Study. That is very much a sign of weakness right there. I'd like to know what our opponent's deck does. So they're going to replenish back Sapling Burst and what? Like multiple Sapling Bursts and then go big with it. Okay, we're just seeing another Sapling Burst over there. An Overmaster. I'm going to counterspell this Overmaster. I don't want whatever the thing you're trying to do is to be uncounterable. Okay, we get to win the game. They might have just been trying to draw the card with the Overmaster. Falkor managed to get there. I don't know what our opponent's deck does, but I've seen things that I can blow up with Rare Revelation, Disenchant, and Naturalize. I don't think this is a creature matchup, so we're going to board out these Swords to Plowshares. Orange Chant feels like it's going to be incredible here, and we're going to need these Funeral Pyres as well. Probably Trimmer Intuition makes sense to me. I think we maybe have too many lands in our deck, so I'm going to trim a land and see how it feels, and it'll give us some indication for how we're supposed to build this moving forward. There's no way I'm going to remove any counter magic or this Krosan Reclamation in case they mill us out. We need to find 3 more cuts if we want to fit all of these things in. Do we need all of these Funeral Pyres? I don't think our opponent's counterspelling our stuff. So maybe we only need 3 Funeral Pyres total. That gives us 2 more cuts. Are we just cutting like Mox Diamond and an Opt or something? No, sorry, we only need to cut 1 because we're a 61 card deck. Okay, that's fine. Those numbers work out better. Orange Chant is a certified banger here. I don't really know what our opponent's deck does yet. It's going to be fun to find out together, I suspect. We can blow up a Lion's Eye Diamond that's hanging around. We can blow up a Sapling Burst and take all their saplings with it. There's lots of stuff we've boarded in that's going to be useful. City of Brass, you go ahead. Careful Study. I guess if they're trying to play Replenish, maybe we actually do want all of the Funeral Pyres, because then we can stop their graveyard. But how are we supposed to find another card to cut? There is a Sapling Burst. City of Brass. I don't think our life total is actually the most important thing here. We definitely want to get an island out, and we definitely want to get this Mox Diamond out so we can represent Counterspell whilst also having some other bits and pieces. I think I'm just going to get rid of the Reflecting Pool, as nice as that would be if we could get the City of Brass going. And then we just pass it over. It looks like we've got a Counterspell, but we do have this orange chant. And maybe both modes of this are relevant in this matchup. If they're trying to kill us with Sapling Burst, that means they're going to have one big attack, so we can just say no. We will opt to the end step. I don't really want this Mox Diamond. Accumulated Knowledge is exactly the sort of card I'm in the market for. Another island, that's excellent. That gives us the ability to gush and look for permission if we need to do something in this turn cycle. Otherwise, we can just AK, start cantripping, work our way towards making a big old Cognivore. This is always going to be an island for us, I think. So let's just get the island now. And then we can AK holding up Mox Diamond. Unlikely we need to do anything here, but we can just get a little cantrip. Another island. Okay. Funeral Pyre. I would like the ability to cast white spells, so I'm going to play this City of Brass out. The Funeral Pyre might check our opponent's Replenish, which is also pretty tasty. I don't have a clue what our opponent's really cooking with their deck. Are they just trying to reanimate Sapling Burst? There's got to be more to it than that. There can't just be all of these like Burning Wishes and Replenishes and all that sort of jazz just for a Sapling Burst. Pandemonium. That makes a lot of sense. You can have the Pandemonium. I will Revelation this now. A Dragon Breath. I don't particularly want the Dragon Breath. We're already making lands here, so I'm not going to use this Gush just yet. I'm just going to hold up a bunch of stuff. We can float mana and then try and Gush looking for answers. So they are doing Pandemonium Sapling Burst combo. I understand what's going on. I figured it would be something along those lines. Am I just going to hardcast this Gush, or do I want the ability to put islands in my hand? I think I'm just going to hardcast the Gush. Okay, we have a win condition. I will play out this City of Brass. I will cast this Oath of Druids. Let's see how big FALKOR'S going to be. I'm not sure our opponent's going to be much into the interacting with us territory. An Intuition. You got it. What is this going to be? Is it going to be Replenish? And they're just going to try and dome us with this. We can break this up using Naturalize and Funeral Pyre as well as Orange Chant. We can Orange Chant our opponent in their upkeep and then just play the Funeral Pyre. So they then get to cast spells. We give them a 1/1 whilst removing something that they want. And then we get to do our thing, which maybe kills them this turn. Because we can give it haste because we have the Dragon Breath in hand and the mana to cast it. We'll need the Trample. I wonder if our opponent has any creatures, because they might just not want to trigger Oath. Or they might want to trigger Oath, mill over a big chunk of their deck, and then kill us with what they've milled over as they try and combo us out. Not sure what creatures they would play in their deck, though. I guess out of this choice, we're going to give them a Lion's Eye Diamond. I think we're going to chant them. No spells for you this turn. They still get to play a land, of course. It's not like Moonhold, which is a card from Shadowmoor, which says player can't cast spells or play a land. What we're going to get rid of. Pandemonium is the thing that probably just kills us straight away. So let's take that out. You can have a 1/1 guy. And here comes FALKOR. How big is it going to be? Not very big is the answer to that one. A foil. I guess we have to Dragon Breath this. Just get the bits in right now. We've got a Naturalize and a Revelation to get us through this. They're at 9. We needed our Cognivore to be a little bit bigger than it was. There's going to be a Frantic Search in our end step. Okay. We have to Counterspell a Replenish. Well, potentially. We might not have to counter it. They discarded a Pandemonium and a Sapling Burst. That suggests to me that we do need to counterspell stuff. So the exact text of this is, when this enchantment leaves the battlefield, destroy all tokens created with this enchantment. I'm slightly worried about Red Blast here. So this Pandemonium will kill us if it connects. Orim's Chant. Oh, that's bad news for us, isn't it? Very bad news. So now our opponent gets to combo us out pretty hard. I think we do want all of our Funeral Pyres. I wonder if they've got Parallax tied in here as well. I think it would make sense. It's just arguably the most powerful thing to do in the format. So why wouldn't you put it in this deck that can also bring it back and do stuff? There is the Lion's Eye Diamond. Are they going to cast a Replenish, crack the Lion's Eye Diamond to put more stuff in their bin? Burning Wish. So this is going to Burning Wish for the Replenish. Makes sense. Are they going to crack the LED in response or not? So I'm going to let our opponent play it out because you might not have seen the Sapling Burst Pandemonium combo before. So get back these. So they can remove this and it makes them a 6/6. That 6/6 then domes us with the Pandemonium trigger. Then they can make a 6/6 with this one. And that domes us for 6. And then they make a 5/5. Because each time they make it, it reduces the overall size because their power and toughness is equal to the number of counters on the Sapling Burst that created them. So this is just going to dome us out. That was pretty sweet. I enjoyed that despite what happened to us. If we could have interacted, we could have like blown this up, but then they could just remove them in response and still kill us. So we didn't really have a good solution to that one. Do I think annuls are even useful here? I guess they might be. I don't think I want this naturalize. So let's grab a Funeral Pyre in the deck. Do I want these annuls? Is it better to destroy their things or not? Right, we can counter 4 mana spells. That's not really an issue. Right, we're just going to try this. Maybe we were hasty with our Orim's Chant. This hand is terrible. Let's mulligan. Counterspell is good. Lat-Nam's Legacy is something I'm interested in as well. Wish I could keep this as a 7, to be honest. Not sure what goes back. Like Funeral Pyre, Counterspell, 2 islands. And then one of these 3 has to go. I kind of want the land that casts Funeral Pyre, so I guess we keep the plains. Which blue spell do we want to keep? Is it just the Opt? Or is it the Lat-Nam's Legacy? The Lat-Nam's Legacy means that we have to chuck something away for this to work, so maybe we just get rid of the Legacy here. Because we don't need to improve our hand. We need to find more pieces. And Lat-Nam's Legacy can dig you 2 cards, but it costs you one of the cards in your hand. If we like everything in our hand, then it's not really worth it. Let's Opt. Don't need a Krosan Reclamation. Oath of Druids. We need a green source for it. We've got a fair few in our deck. And if our Falkor would have been bigger last game, we might have been able to win. But it was not the case, sadly. Right, we're just going to stare at one another for a little bit. A City of Brass. We don't need that yet. Next turn, we can cast it. I don't just want to burn a Funeral Pyre for no reason. Our opponent's going to need a couple of turns of setup still from this position. Intuition can do a lot of work for them, though. I'm going to go and use this island because we have this Orim's Chant. And I want to be able to just assemble Falkor as soon as possible so we can actually try and get the win. We're still representing Mana Leak. I don't know if we showed them Mana Leak before. I think we did, actually, in game 1. Intuition. Okay. I'm hoping this Funeral Pyre will be enough to get us through where we need to be, but sometimes it'll have to be the Orim's Chant. But our plan is to Funeral Charm, get our guy, and then we can just chant and counterspell our way through the rest of the game. And Falkor hits them in some number of turns. That is a replenish. You got it. They have nothing in their graveyard, so replenish doesn't do anything yet, but they could just cast a Frantic Search. But if we can take out one of the things they're trying to put in the graveyard, that works out well for us. I think where this goes wrong is if they play an Ancient Tomb, so they can float more mana. I did not float more mana. I will Funeral Pyre away one of these, I guess. I don't know if our opponent's really going to be interacting with us on the level of our creature. How big is Falkor going to be? He big. He very big. He lethally big. We get to draw off turn. I'll play another land out. We get to attack. Even if they block, this is still lethal because of the trample. Alright, we did the thing, and it looked cool and excellent and wonderful. Brilliant stuff. Proof of concept. Let's go to round number 3. What about this hand? I'm not in love with this Undiscovered Paradise, truth be told. I am going to keep this hand, I think. Lat-Nam's Legacy can do a multitude of things. I think we can leave this off so that we have access to our one piece of interaction. I think we're going to do that. I don't like it very much, though. If our opponent's doing Reanimator, that is something that gets blown out by the turn 1 Funeral Pyre. We're playing a creature deck. Mountain. Jackal Pup. We are playing very much a creature deck. Understood. City of Brass. Not my favourite land to have in a situation like this. This could be a situation where we're just Lat-Nam's Legacying stuff away. The counterspells need to stop the big Ball Lightning style cards. Although this could end up dealing as much damage as Ball Lightning. But once it's in the graveyard, we can then Funeral Pyre to block it. Bouncing back our Undiscovered Paradise is somewhat awkward. Drawing the City of Brass, also awkward. Mog Fanatic. I don't think I care about that. Seal of Fire. I don't think I care about that either. I will Lat-Nam's Legacy. What are we putting back? I don't particularly want to be playing this game on a City of Brass. I think we're going to get rid of the city and draw 2 extra cards. Hopefully there'll be an island in there and that turns on our Gush and everything's fine. There was an island in there. Sort of. I would like to be able to counterspell. I don't think the Funeral Pyre is going to quite do what we need it to do. So let's jam this one down. And we'll hold up the counterspell for the Ball Lightning. We're going to take 3 damage this turn. To a mountain. In come their friends here. A foil. I guess we play out this Undiscovered Paradise. And then we crack it. So we're not dead until we're dead in this one. Because we have a combo kill, we might just be able to finish our opponent out of nowhere. They can use all their burn spells to kill their own guys. And Incinerate to our face, we just have to take that. A Lava Dart. Okay, that's not that scary. 2 cards in their hand. It might be difficult to get Falkor into play in this matchup. I'm just thinking about Funeral Pyring right now or not. And blocking this Jackal Pup. I think that's probably what we have to do, but I don't like it. Get rid of this Flooded Strand. Give us a 1/1. They can sacrifice a mountain to deal with this, but it soaks up some damage. Okay, they're just going to sacrifice their Mog Fanatic. So we are, again, soaking up some damage. Getting their creature out of play instead of them just using a Lava Dart when they got 3 mana in play is interesting. Don't know exactly what that says, but it says something. This Undiscovered Paradise bouncing back to our hand is a pain. And Accumulated Knowledge. I guess we're just playing out this Reflecting Pool. Holding up some counter magic. And then hopefully next turn we can dig for the combo whilst protecting ourselves. A Lightning Bolt. With our opponent having 1 card in hand, I'm just going to have to counterspell this one, I think. We can foil a Fire Blast. Our opponent's only got 1 card in hand. So we're effectively 6, so we do need to be a little bit careful. They've got a Lava Dart which they can use to answer their own pup here. Things do get a little bit awkward for us. Red, red. Fire Blast. I would like to Gush in response to that one. This is lethal because of the Seed of Fire. I would like to foil this. I'm going to pitch an island and this Undiscovered Paradise that's bothering me. That was a bit of a mistake, I think, because the Undiscovered Paradise is the only way we can cast our Oath of Druids. I don't think we're winning this game. A Mox Diamond, okay. We can't play out the Gush. This is our only other island. I just don't think we get to play out this Mox Diamond. If we draw a card right now, maybe find an answer to this. Like a Source to Plowshares. That kind of makes me want to play out this Mox Diamond now. In case that's what we find. Because we might have to counterspell something. Or we just don't really know. At least they don't know to board out all their creatures. Although maybe the Funeral Pyre gives them an indication. Right, so they're not getting in with... I think we have to AK here. Hope for the best. Okay, the Source to Plowshares. That's what we played around. The problem is, our opponent can just use burn spells to kill us. They Lightning Bolt our face. That puts us to 3. They Seed of Fire us. They Lava Dart us. We die. You got it, opponent. I felt a little bit rough. Won't lie. How are we going to address this one? Hydroblasts are the obvious one. Get some of that in there. Let's have a look at the other tools we have access to. So we might want some sort of a null action. I think Intuition is too slow here. I'm going to board out this Undiscovered Paradise. I don't think we need it in the deck. Do we need this Reflecting Pool? Maybe we can board them both out. Let's try it on the reduced land count. This is the same amount of lands that the... actually, this is 1 more land, I think, than some of the Mox Diamond and Grower-Tog style decks run. They run 17 to 18 lands. So we're in a similar ballpark there. We've already got the Disenchant. I would kind of like another Disenchant effect. White is much easier for us than green, so we're going to put this in. Because they have Sulfuric Vortex and they have access to Cursed Scroll. Neither of those are things I particularly want to mess around with. Removal spells look good. Maybe we don't have enough time to be doing Lat-Nam's Legacy stuff here. Maybe that's just a little bit slow and we can just get another Funeral Pyre in. This kills guys. Maybe we just want another Funeral Pyre in because it kills their 1/1s. If that's the sort of game we're playing. Let's try this one. How do I feel about this one? Cognivore in hand is bad. I think we're going to mulligan. We're just going to dig a little bit deeper for an Oath. Source to Plowshares is obviously a bit of a banger here. Are we just trying to mulligan to Oath because we know that they're unlikely to beat that? I guess we'll try digging a bit deeper until we find an Oath. We found an Oath, but we don't have any lands. Let's go to 4 cards. Okay. Island, City of Brass, 2 AKs. We've got a plan. I don't like it very much. Like, we could have kept that earlier on with the Source to Plowshares, but I think this matchup maybe is to the point where we need to be jamming the Oath early doors. Okay, so we have an Oath. We don't want to play it until they've played a creature. They might know that we're playing Oath and might have boarded out most of their creatures, apart from things like Ball Lightning. Why didn't they play a 1-drop creature on turn 1? That's very unusual. They're just going to absolutely tank our strategy here. Let's accumulate knowledge. Thanks, Sea of Brass. Glad you could help. A Gush. Could be useful later on. They're probably going to incinerate us when we're shields down here. No. Okay, they're playing around Stifle by the looks of it. Swords 2 Plowshares. Is that more important to me? Holding up. I would like to find another land drop. No, we need to hold this up for Ball Lightning. Ball Lightning is just too many damages. Play all your 1-drop creatures, opponent. I guess they saw that we're a slow deck as well, so we're probably the sort of deck that's going to be very good at answering creatures, whereas really efficient burn spells with face, not so much. There is the Wooded Foothills. We will cast this accumulated knowledge in the end step. Thanks, Sea of Brass. Glad you can help. Foil. Another Swords to Plowshares. Not the land we were hoping for, though. Well, who am I to turn down a third accumulated knowledge? The knowledge is certainly accumulating for us. But what is it going to amount to? Us getting burned in the face till we die, I suspect. We might be able to get some sort of, like, Swords of Plowshares our own FALKOR and just gain, like, 20 life at some point. If for some reason that doesn't kill our opponent. Opponent's got a lot of mana here. Seal of Fire. Okay. They're about to get a lightning bolt's worth of damage in total out of our land so far. Disgusting stuff. That's a lightning bolt. We got some more. Cognivore in the hand. Just where I really wanted it. Okay. I kind of wanted an island here. Truth be told. I guess the play is Treva's Ruins, bounce the island. So we can pay for foil. Play this Oath of Druids, I guess. And we pass over. And what are we going to get rid of? Is it the Cognivore? Like, when are we ever casting this? Not in this matchup. If we put it into the graveyard, we can shuffle it in with the Reclamation. Why is Terravor 3 mana and Cognivore is 8 mana? That is an interesting question that somebody should answer. Okay, you have many manas over here. Price of Progress. This is going to be 4 damages. I think 4 is enough to make me... So I need to discard a card. So I can discard this island and this Krosan Reclamation that's in the graveyard anyway. These Sea of Brasses though. Another Price of Progress. You got it. So we're effectively at 5 life now. 2 cards in our opponent's hand. No sign of a creature on their side of the battlefield. Fire Blast. We're going to be at 1 life. I don't think we're going to win this one. An opt. Why shouldn't I opt? Let's have a look. An island. Like, that's going to turn these things on, but we just need our opponent to brick and us to hit better than this. There's no point playing this one out because we're just dead if we tap it. Alright, opponents, you need to draw any burn spell from your deck that is full of burn spells. Not a fan of that for us. Ball Lightning. We can Swords to Plowshares this, but we are very dead. Okay, that matchup did not really go the way I wanted it to. It looked like they boarded out all their creatures. I think we beat the creature draw very easily with Oath of Druids. And maybe the Funeral Pyre was enough to show our opponent that we're playing an Oath of Druids deck. Awkward. On to round number 4. No card selection here. A foil I don't particularly want to have to use. I think I'm just going to mulligan this and... one of these ones again, is it? We can put the Cognivore back. And we have to find a land in 2 turns. And then we're okay. Alright, let's find a land in 2 turns because we're on the draw. I would definitely not keep this on the play. This is a classic example of your low land count Mox Diamond deck. A swamp and nothing. Our opponent did mulligan quite low. I will play out a Flooded Strand and pass. Caves of Koilos. This could be Black-White Control or Dead Guy Ale. Okay, we're discarding some cards, are we? I will discard... This is all of our colours. I guess we get rid of a foil here and a Lat-Nam's Legacy. And then we draw a land and everything is fine. We did draw a land and it was a good land. So now the plan has changed. The plan is now instead Lat-Nam's Legacy away. Well, I guess we got some card draw and accumulated knowledge and stuff like that. You're going to Gerald's Vote at me again on my mulligan? They're not. That's kind of you. Let's just AK. They're going to have Swords to Plowshares for when FALKOR gets involved. I'm going to Gush here. Play out a land. I will opt. Don't really want another opt. A Mox Diamond. That's Lat-Nam's Legacy, chucking back a Mox Diamond. I could play this one out so we have access to Swords to Plowshares this turn, but they're not going to play anything like big creature that we need to kill immediately. We can just answer it on our turn. This does leave the Mox Diamond as something that can get discarded out of our hand, though. Do I want that? Alright, I've talked myself into playing the Mox Diamond. They're just going to Vindicate and I'm going to be sad. But we do still have 2 islands, so we can cast this next Gush. Lat-Nam's Legacy, fill me right up. Krosan Reclamation. Okay, so we have all our colours now. The Reclamation isn't really doing the most here. Hypnotic Spectre. Alright, we can just plow this one. So maybe they are dead Gaio and they just had a bad draw. Goodbye, Hypnotic Spectre. Another island. I don't hate that for us. A Vindicate. That's fine. It's not my favourite thing to have happened. A foil. We can use this Gush to put an island in our hand if we need to. And Krosan Reclamation is a pretty good thing to discard. Another Hypnotic Spectre. I think I'm going to Gush. See what we're working with here. Okay, that's fine. Let's go for this Oath of Druids. They could have a Vindicate. They could hold up a Swords to Plowshares for what comes out of this. Hopefully we can foil the counterspell that they have. But they do get to attack us and take a random card. A Duress. That's not a random card, is it? This means they've only got 2 cards left in hand. They definitely take the foil here. Oh, I took the Plow. So they have the Vindicate for the Oath of Druids, the last card in hand? Or are they just going to let us Falkor them? Because they could very well be dead this turn. Not the foil, please. It was the Krosan Reclamation, the best one for us to have in the deck. In the graveyard. I'm not going to shuffle this Falkor. I would like to have more hits available. Sorry, have more of our deck flipped over. Okay, so the Dragon Fangs and the Dragon Breath are both coming back. We have the foil. Our opponent is very dead. Draw a card. We can even play a land if we want. And we get to swing with big old Falkor. Haha, we got it. So, what do we want to do with our opponent's deck here? I think we would like to blow up things like Phyrexian Arena and possibly some hate cards like Tormod's Crypt, which are obviously very good against us. So that means we probably want access to Disenchant, Ray Revelation, Naturalize. These are all things I'm interested in. They have Mastercore, most likely. I don't know if they're going to go all the way up to like big stuff. I guess, would they even board in Mastercore against us? I guess we can board out the lands that we don't particularly like. I don't think we need in our deck. The Plows look good here. The Funeral Pyres seem pretty reasonable. Maybe this Intuition. I've been boarding out a lot. Like, it's another copy of Oath, but we don't really need more copies of Oath. I kind of want this Dominate, though. The Dominate seems like an interesting one. Maybe we trim 1 Lat-Nams for a Dominate. Just gives us, like, a backup win condition. I think I do have too many lands in this deck, maybe. Although our opponent is blowing up some lands. Okay, we'll keep this. Oh, they've got Wastelands and Vindicates. They can just go for mana dial strategy. So maybe we are actually supposed to keep in another land here. Please Dark Ritual out a Phyrexian Arena. That would be my favourite thing for you to do. An Oath of Druids. Interesting. Do I want to spin cards away like this? I think I'm just going to play... This does give us a counterspell next turn, though. Alright, I will play this Mox Diamond out and be sad when it gets blown up. We do have a counterspell to protect it somewhat if that's the thing we need to do. The life of 18 land Mox Diamond decks is a scary one. A Gerard's Verdict, you say? What would I discard here? A Naturalize and a Plow? Sure. Gerard's Verdict is pretty good. An Accumulated Knowledge. I will certainly hold that up if I don't have to counterspell. That's something we get to do. A Vindicate. No, thank you, opponent. Don't do that to me. A Lat-Nam's Legacy. I think I'm just going to AK. A foil. If they've got another Vindicate, we could be in a large spot of bother. They always have 2 Vindicates. Here it is. There we go. Goodbye, Mox Diamond. City of Brass, back again. We're probably going to Lat-Nam's Legacy in this turn cycle. Phyrexian Arena. Okay. I think we're getting rid of this foil. Let's gas back up again. Okay, those are pretty good cards. Okay, those are really good cards. Let's blow this up. I don't think they have a Vindicate, otherwise they would have used it last turn. So we're hoping they don't draw one off the top here. But if we can just start converting these AKs into cards, we should pull ahead. A Hypnotic Spectre. Okay. Time for Oath of Druids, I guess. Now, they might have Disenchants in for this. But we don't mind if they make us discard an AK. It just powers up the other one. Like, yes, we technically lose a card in total on the exchange. It's fine. Hit our Counterspell or our Gush, that's whatever. Okay, they hit an AK. Now we get to enter FALKOR'S Trap House. How many Swords of Plowshares do you have, opponent? Okay, just a guy on his own. No equipment. Not equipment, enchantments. Any Swords of Plowing in our upkeep? Good time to do it. Snuff out. I'm going to say no to your snuff out. I think if you're trying to play around counter magic, you lead with the Swords to Plowshares. Okay, because now we just gain a boatload of life. And that's fine. I guess they maybe really want to exile it, but that's okay. We've got a mana leak to protect the next one. And that one's almost certainly going to be hasty. So this is probably getting blown up right now. Are we just going to get him good here? I guess we could discard the mana leak here, and that gets a little bit sketchy. We didn't discard the mana leak, so I think we're okay here. Let's get in with the FALKOR punch. Oh, just the Dragon Fangs. We have an island. Are we playing the island out? We're kind of dead to Swords to Plowshares quite easily here. Got one card out. Let's hope they have like a more expensive removal spell, like a Vindicate. All right. Doesn't matter what format we're playing. We're going to find a way to attack people with a 20/20 creature. 4 rounds down. We are 2-2. So not a bad record for what is a pretty cheesy sort of deck. Let's go to the final round and see if we can get a positive record with it. Our opener requires us to find a land. We're on the draw. An opt isn't necessarily the best way. And the Cognivore's already in our hands. I think we're going to mulligan this. Similar but different, I guess. Cognivore is here to stay, apparently. Back you go, FALKOR. You can be the bottom card of my library. Barbarian Ring. Well, we might be getting wrecked again here. I think the burn matchup is trickier than I would necessarily like. Okay, we drew an island. That is the first step towards us not dying horribly. They've also got a creature, which is the second step. We do need to find Oath of Druids and the mana to cast it. What is this? A nice looking mountain there. Don't know what set that's from. Seal of Fire. That's quite a nice mountain. Almost looks like a tiger or something because it's so foresty. Sorry if you don't like me waxing lyrical about the art and things of Magic the Gathering, but let's face it, that's one of the reasons we play this lovely game. We don't have the mana to cast it. Okay, we've drawn the mana to cast it now. Lightning Bolt to the dome. Enjoy that, opponent. Happy for you. I guess we hold up the counterspell for Ball Lightning. Otherwise, we are going to be Lat-Nam's Legacying back. I don't know. Maybe the Reflecting Pool? Alright, no Ball Lightning. A Cursed Scroll. This can take out their own guys. But so can the Seal of Fire. This is quite mana intensive. They don't have that mana right now. They also need to empty their hand. Nope, I think you can have this. We're hoping to win before this becomes relevant. Like, the game's going to go quite long if we win, but I don't know. I just don't think we need to fight over the Cursed Scroll when they have 6 damage spells like Ball Lightning. Let's draw some cards. Let's Gush. This could go horribly wrong for us. We're looking for a green mana source, please. A Lightning Bolts. Okay. Guess what we didn't find? Uh-oh. We are in some amount of trouble. I wish we'd have counterspelled that Lightning Bolt now. Clean up. What are we going to discard? We don't really want the FALKOR in hand, but we also didn't want our opponent to know that we've got the FALKOR. We also didn't want them to know we've got the Oath of Druids. We want them to maybe commit some more creatures into play. Let's get rid of a Gush. And I don't think we need a white source right now. Trying to conceal information so our opponent doesn't board out all their creatures in game 2. Incinerate. Alright, we are getting close to being just dead to things that are around. The Barbarian Ring and the Grim Lava Mancer don't play well together. But you're not always going to draw them both in the same game, and it looks like they're going to have enough damage to get across the finish line anyway. Another Cursed Scroll, that's fine. We didn't count the last one. So they're coming in for 1 instead of pinging. So they're trying to play for like the longer game. That's what that tells me. Do we have a shot here, or do we need to just hold up Counterspell this whole time? They can shoot us for... If they connect with this once more, we die. So I think we have to Gush again. I think we're about to lose this game. Swords to Plowshares. Jeez. What is our solution to this little problem? We can maybe hit their Lava Mancer. It's a recurring source of damage. It's not going to feel good. It's going to put us dead to double Cursed Scroll activation. Swords to Plowshares. Maybe they'll fire something off. They're not going to fire it off into our blue-blue, are they? They're going to wait until this mana burns off. And then if they want to fire something, they will. What am I discarding? I guess one of our many islands. I really don't want them to know what we're doing. Alright, Mana Leak can go. We're trying to convince them that we're not an Oath deck. Until we can actually put the Oath down and win with it. Undiscovered Paradise. Well, that allows us to put the Oath down. But not in a way that actually helps us right now. Okay, we're just going to hold up a pretend Mana Leak. Maybe we should have binned off a Counterspell instead of a Mana Leak so that we can actually hold it up here. Because now we go to 1 life. And they've got 6 cards over there. So this doesn't work. That's fun for us. I think we are in a bad spot here. This matchup feels real tough. So now they can start activating the Curse Scroll. And we don't have any good recourse for that. Oh, they just have the Barbarian Ring as well, don't they? Because it was a fetch land. Yep. Well. Look who got annihilated. It was me. Now, hopefully we've solved the fact that we aren't going to have any creatures. So maybe they'll be like, oh, okay, then we can just get in. And that'll be good. So I think we're going to trim some of this land. I don't think we need the Reflecting Pool. And we've been trimming other lands. Let's do something like this. And then we want to have access to Funeral Pyres because these can block their guys if we get desperate. And I think we're just going to trim a Lat-Nams and an Intuition because they're both kind of slow. And this isn't really a matchup where we can afford to be slow. Maybe we need some chills and stuff out of the sideboard. We have Oath of Druids. We don't have the mana to cast it. We have Funeral Pyre. We don't have the mana to cast it. We don't have any dig. We don't have any interaction outside of this Hydroblast. Is this good enough? This requires us to just draw a rainbow mana source and then we can win the game. I think that's good enough. Let it be known that this can go dramatically wrong for us. But this matchup, as we've already seen, is horrible. So I'm going to take a powerful hand that just needs a little bit to get over the finish line. How many rainbow lands do we have? Let's have a check. So we've got 4 City of Brass. We've got the Treva's Ruins. We've got 4 Mox Diamond. That's 9. I can't remember if we bought out the Undiscovered Paradise. We did. Yeah, so we've got 9 sources. So statistically, that's some amount. But we have cantrips that can find it. Maybe our deck should be playing Intuition. Not Intuition, Impulse. Because we do need to find very specific pieces. And that's what Impulse is really good at doing. I'll have a think about that. A mountain into a Jackal-Pup. Well, we are actually happy to see this one. Flooded Strand, you say? I guess we play out the Flooded Strand. It takes a land out of our deck that isn't the one we're looking for, so we technically have a slightly better chance of hitting what we're looking for. A Barbarian Ring. We're going to take 2 from the pup. We kind of need them to have a creature in play. Although we have a Funeral Pyre, so maybe we could just kill this. Let's crack this now. Let's get planes we don't want out of our deck. Our opponent's very good at killing their own creatures, though. Maybe we are supposed to just hit this and incinerate. I don't think we have to counter that one. We want to counter the 4 damage things. Maybe we do have to just answer this Jackal-Pup and hope that the Funeral Pyre does enough. They're not attacking here. Just give ourselves more time to work this out. We could have done this last turn and been on a higher life total, which would have been a better play, I think. We can Hydroblast and protect the Funeral Pyre token as well. Dragon Breath. Well. We need like 2 Lat-Nam's Legacies now. Or these are also good cards to discard to foils. But we're a long ways from doing foil things. If our opponent's not pressuring our life total, maybe we'll be okay. Cursed Scroll. That's a good one, but they need to empty their hand just to really start being leveraged. And hopefully we've got the time to get something together here. A Gush. Big fan of Gush. Let's draw some cards. We're going to try and fire something at us in response before we're drawing these extra cards. Red Elemental Blast. I'm going to blast their thing because we're probably going to have to go to discard at the end of this turn anyway. Unless things go really well for us. And finding cards is useful. Here is our island. I guess I will AK. We could find like a Mox or something. I don't mind discarding these. Okay, found the Dragon Breath. So we can discard these. We have many Oath of Druids here. Not a big fan of the Ball Lightning that is almost certainly going to hit us this turn. Well, they might not play it into the really obvious source to Plowshares that we're holding up, even though we don't have it. We're actually holding up this banger called Funeral Charm. Ooh. I could play a land out here, or I could just go to discard and let this Dragon Fangs go to the bin, if I think that's going to be important. I don't think that's important this turn. So we're just going to keep making our land drops for now. And then our opponent's just going to stock up a bunch of burn. They could even just grind us out with this Curse Scroll, just take a random guess, hope it works out. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Unless their hand is just 3 ball lightnings. Okay, what do they name? They named Overload, and they have Fire Blast. Overload doesn't do anything against us. So that's always a nice addition to have. We know that our opponent's hand doesn't do the thing. This is really, really annoying for us for so many reasons. It can remove itself whilst also taking out our Funeral Pyre token. Swords to Plowshares. I will play out a land. I think we're going to have to plow this Mog Fanatic at some point. We'll see if they make a ball lightning this turn. So we know 2 of the cards in their hand. Fire Blast and Overload. What are they going to name this time? They named Overload and revealed Fire Blast. So we still only know 2 cards in their hand. If they don't play a ball lightning, I think we get rid of this Mog Fanatic. Because our white mana is going to be very constrained trying to do our combo. Here's the ball lightning. Oh, it's just a Fire Blast. Sure. Get wrecked me, I suppose. And now you're going to curse scroll me. You're going to name Overload and reveal an Overload. Is your hand 2 Overloads? They revealed Anarchy at random. So they have an Overload and an Anarchy in hand. That is good stuff. Not the best source of Plowshares I've ever used in my life. So now the problem we have is the Barbarian Ring, which can then kill their own guy. A Lat-Nam's Legacy. That is a good one. Have I played a land out yet? I haven't, have I? So I can play this land out, and then Lat-Nam's Legacy. This Dragon Fangs away. Maybe our opponent will Barbarian Ring us instead of just waiting till the last minute to Barbarian Ring us. Right, so they're going to Curse Scroll. They have fewer cards in hand. So there's a 50% chance we take damage. They revealed an Overload. They named Overload. Okay, we found our Mox Diamond. So we're slowly getting where we need to go. A Flooded Strand. That is a land for our Mox Diamond. Let's go for this. And then I will play this Oath of Druids. We know they've got an Overload. They're going to fire off on this Mox Diamond. So we get kind of like one crack of it here. Alright, they're overloading it straight away. Sure, but we've got our Oath of Druids now. I need you to tap out of your Barbarian Ring this turn, please, opponent. Or not have the mana to do it, and then we can try and get Falkor going. So if they don't hit a land this turn, we'll be alright. So what are they going to name? They named Anarchy, revealed Anarchy. The only thing Anarchy hits is the Funeral Pyre token. Don't play a land. But also don't have a Lightning Bolt. We're asking for a lot here. I'm going to exile a mountain from their graveyard. It doesn't really matter here. Falkor, here it comes. This has got an intervening if clause, right? So if they shoot their own guy in response. Okay, we've got a hasty, massive guy here. This is a 15-15. We could source the Plowshares this, but I think we might need to keep the source to Plowshares in case our opponent messes with us. We got anything cool in the graveyard? No. In comes the Cognivore. They will chump block. So they can get a guy here, and then we can maybe plow our own guy, and then the other Falkor jumps out. We'll have the Dragon Breath attached, and will be huge, and will win the game for us. They have a Jackal Pup. How much damage are you going to point in my face, opponent? 16 is very much not lethal here. You're going to play a Ball Lightning. A Fire Blast. This will put us to 1 life. I think the play here is to plow the Cognivore and just gain 1,000,000 life. Okay, we're back up to 17. They've got a creature that will trigger our Oath of Druids. So they're kind of... Oh, they're just playing another creature out. They're just going straight into it here. Okay. They are almost certainly dead here. Urza's Rage. 3 damage. You got it. They could have Barbarian Ring their Jackal Pup, not played this out, and just tried to grind us with a Curse Scroll. Alright, match is tied now. Whew. I think they're probably going to have fewer creatures in now, which is not great for us. Yeah. We've got a Disenchant for Sulfuric Vortex stuff. Would I like to have access to a second Disenchant? I think I'm going to replace the Mox Diamond with an Undiscovered Paradise because of the overloads. Although, are they going to keep the overloads? I don't know. I would like this other Disenchant. What doesn't seem good here? Maybe we just trim on Lat-Nam's Legacy? Come on, Falkor. We can get there. No, I'm not going to keep this one. This one I can keep. I don't want to keep this City of Brass, I don't think. There is an option to bin off the Plow and just make sure we have the mana for this, because our opponent's probably not going to want to play creatures. But Ball Lightning is super scary, though. But we can counterspell it. Alright, I'm going to trust in the deck to draw me more mana sources here. I like having blue for Gushes and things. We could have just thrown back an island, I guess. That's probably the actual smart thing to do there. Alright, they are just playing into the creatures. Treva's Ruins. So we had an option to just play this, plow this, but then let our Treva's Ruins die. Tormod's Crypt. That's why we have the extra disenchant that we brought it in. Going for more creatures here. Okay. Okay, we'll hold up Counterspell or Accumulated Knowledge. Just kind of do that thing. The fact that Treva's Ruins makes us walk back a land is annoying. Maybe we're supposed to have Gemstone Mine instead. That's something to think about. A Mog Fanatic. I'm not going to Counterspell a Mog Fanatic. Now we're going to take some damages. And we're going to start AKing our way through this game. A Funeral Pyre. Let's get my Accumulated Knowledge down. I'll play this Treva's Ruins, which unfortunately walks back one of our lands. But I think we can just discard one because we're going to be pitching islands up and down this game, I think. So we've got the Source of Plowshares if our opponent plays a Ball Lightning this turn. If not, then we will plow this Jackal Pup. Lat-Nam's Legacy. We have stuff to do in our opponent's turn. I'm happy just to pass and get that going. Next turn we maybe convert a Gush. The fact that this creature can just take this one out and they're left with no creatures for our Oath of Druids is a real problem. We need them to put some instants in their graveyard. A Ball Lightning. I'm going to Source of Plowshares this one, I think. This allows us to keep our momentum with the Lat-Nam's Legacy here. I don't know if we're going to have time to convert all of these Gushes. So I think I'm going to chuck one back. Because walking back lands in this matchup can be a problem. I love Lat-Nam's Legacy. What a great card. Alright, we drew the Gush again anyway. We've got a Mox Diamond. Okay, we're going to Gush here. Dragon's Breath. Thanks, you could help. Let's play a Mox Diamond. We've got plenty of islands here. Play this one out. We could just hardcast this Gush and not have Counterspell up. Do I like hardcasting the Gush, going shields down on Counterspell? If they have Ball Lightning, that's 6 damage to the face. 7, 8, 9, and then we're basically dead. I don't think we can go shields down on Counterspell. Sulfuric Vortex. Get out. Don't want that either. Going in for 1, so now they're going into Grim Lavamancer mode. Another Funeral Pyre. Not really what I require here. Am I going to Gush? I think I'm going to Gush. We need to put something together this game. A Krosan Reclamation. Okay. That wasn't the one we wanted. We're going to discard this Dragon Breath. Do we discard the Dragon Breath? That gets rid of the haste, but the Tormod's Crypt is just going to be a pain anyway. Yeah, but you can shoot me. Goodbye, Dragon's Breath. A Ball Lightning, you say? Huh. How would I go about not dying to Ball Lightning? 6, 7, 8, 9. If we block 2 damage here, we take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We are just 100% cooked there. That matchup feels pretty unwinnable to me. Now, the good thing about burn decks is if you want to, you can always beat them. So we finished with a 2-3 record. The last round, we did manage to take a game off of the burn player. But I think it's because they didn't really know what was going on, and then suddenly he's got FALKOR'D out of nowhere. So, we learned a lot about this deck today. I think we learned that I'm playing too many lands, and we can definitely get rid of those. I think we also probably want to be playing some Impulse. So maybe we just cut 2 lands and play 2 Impulses. So goodbye Reflecting Pool, goodbye Undiscovered Paradise. Or maybe I really like Treva's Ruins. But we have a lot of land walking back type stuff. But this can help us enable a foil later on. So maybe we definitely get rid of Reflecting Pool. That gets us at least 1 Impulse. I think if we want another Impulse, we should probably do... Maybe we do just cut the Undiscovered Paradise and just go, okay, let's just have 2 Impulses in there. And that just gives us a little bit more dig to find these things. Like, I think the deck performed pretty well. In matchups where Oath is good, we're going to just absolutely steamroller people. The burn matchup is a tricky one because they can play around Oath better than other people because they can just burn their own creatures if they need to, or like, you know, Mog Fanatic can ping. Ball Lightning is never going to be in play when the Oath of Druids is doing its thing. So I think burn is always going to be a tough matchup for us. And it's unfortunate we played against it twice. It's only like 11% of the meta. If you want to help that in the sideboard, you can play Chills, you can play Warmth, you can play all sorts of horrible, I hate burn player white cards. Circle of Protection is another one. There's just so many options that you can play if you want to beat that matchup. Maybe we need to index more heavily into beating that matchup. We didn't really need like the wing shardsy type stuff, so we could probably free up a bit of space with the removal here. And we also definitely want Brain Freeze as a card that we can access in the sideboard. I think that's probably our backup win condition of choice here. We are playing instant speed, right? So if our opponent plays a bunch of spells in like a controlling mirror, we can then just play a bunch of spells and Brain Freeze. So we definitely want to put a Brain Freeze in the sideboard and remove these removal spells. So I think we've got some changes we could make this deck to make it better. There are other builds of this deck that run like black stuff. So you're running like duresses and things to pave the way and that sort of jam. I think the Bant build, to me, just seems quite clean. Now, we could maybe tinker with this a bit more, but I really like how this build looks compared to the other ones I've seen. It feels like Funeral Pyre is such a key card at being able to make this do a full combo deck. Because some of the other builds, they're like 4 colors. They've got a few man lands that they can kind of nickel and dime people with, but I don't think that's exciting. I prefer to just be really lean with our mana, have a bunch of like cantrips and card draw and stuff like that, and then have like the Funeral Pyres to do like the combo and just be all in on the combo but have the tools to defend it, things like foil and stuff like that. So if we're cutting Intuition and a Reflecting Ball, that's 2 impulse. If we cut the Undiscovered Paradise, that's 3 impulse we get to add. That's going to make us way more reliable. And that's something I'm certainly there for, though it does make me very scary to play that few lands in a Mox Diamond deck. But obviously, you know, decks like Grow are doing it, but they have Portent to help. We kind of need to hit 2 mana because we're not really playing a lot. So maybe it needs to be 3 Opt and 2 Impulse, something along those lines. But I think the configuration of the deck is not bad for a first draft. We did manage to do the thing, get some sweet screenshots, and we learned how we can improve the sideboard. If somebody wants to work on this one and refine a list and then send it to me, by all means, I would appreciate that. Like, do we need the Disenchant in the main deck? Maybe. Maybe this could be... No, I think the Disenchant does make sense here, actually. And because we're a Lat-Nam's Legacy deck, we can just throw stuff in. Maybe we don't need 3 Lat-Nam's Legacy. Maybe 2 is okay. But if you ever get your hand jammed up with Cognivores, that's lights out. Unless you get to one of those really weird games where it's super late and you actually hardcast it like we did. But that matchup was horrible anyway. All right, I think we've had a good fun time in FALKOR'S Trap House. Thank you so much for watching and joining me with this bit of a weird one today. We like to sort of mix in like good decks and weird decks. There's so much room to explore in the pre-modern format. It's such a great, healthy format. There's a few outliers in there stats-wise, but you can do a lot in this format. And even the really powerful decks that are overperforming hugely still have decks that just crush them easily. So there is that. All right. Thank you once again. Please remember to like and subscribe. If you need any of these cards, check out my sponsor, 3for1 Trading, and become a member of my Patreon. That's a really good way of supporting me if you want to. And goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low-cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, and lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.